The courtroom was packed, tension heavy in the air. Everyone's eyes were fixed on a young black man sitting quietly at the defense table, hands folded, calm but unreadable. Across from him stood two confident police officers, whispering and smirking as if victory was already theirs. The judge adjusted his glasses and sighed, already seeming to have made up his mind. People in the gallery murmured, this was supposed to be a simple case, but something about the man's silence made everyone uneasy. He didn't look scared. He looked like he knew something no one else did. As the officers began their testimony, painting him as aggressive and uncooperative, the man didn't flinch. His eyes stayed on the judge, patient, almost disappointed. Because he knew, truth had a way of surfacing, no matter how hard others tried to bury it. Officer Daniels stepped forward, voice firm, every word rehearsed. He described how the men had resisted arrest, how he had raised his voice, how they had been forced to act. The courtroom nodded along, the judge leaning back as if the decision was already written. But as the officer spoke, a small smirk appeared on the man's face, not arrogance, but certainty. The officer stumbled for a moment, glancing nervously at him. The defense attorney whispered, "Don't say a word yet." The men nodded. The judge called for a short recess. Whispers filled the room, "Who is he? Why isn't he speaking? He must be guilty if he's this quiet." But the truth was far from it. This man wasn't afraid to lose. He was waiting for the right moment to remind everyone who he really was, and what justice was supposed to mean. When court resumed, the second officer took the stand. His words sounded almost identical to the first, like a script read too many times. The defense remained silent. The judge seemed impatient, tapping his pen. "Do you have any defense to offer?" he asked finally. The lawyer looked at the man, who gave a slow nod. He stood up, buttoned his coat, and walked toward the witness stand himself. The courtroom went still. "Your Honor," he began, voice steady, "before I speak, may I submit Exhibit A?" He handed a folder to the clerk. Inside were bodycam footages, timestamps, and internal reports. The officers' faces turned pale. The judge frowned. "Where did you get this?" he asked. The men smiled slightly. "Let's just say I have access." The video began to play, and what it revealed would change everything. The footage silenced the room. The screen showed the men being calm, cooperative, polite, even, until the officers suddenly turned hostile. No raised voice, no aggression, nothing that matched their sworn statements. Gasps filled the air as the judge leaned forward. This contradicts everything you said." The officers exchanged nervous glances. The men stood there quietly, not gloating, just letting truth do the talking. "Sir," the judge said cautiously, "how did you come into possession of this evidence?" The men took a slow breath. "Because I had to make sure this time, the truth couldn't be twisted." He paused, eyes firm. "And because I've seen too many men like me stand here without a chance." A long silence followed. No one knew who he really was yet, but respect had already begun to replace judgment. Whispers turned into ripples of realization. The prosecutor adjusted her notes, uneasy. "Your Honor, this evidence wasn't submitted properly," she began, but the judge cut her off. "We'll allow it. Justice requires truth, not convenience." The man returned to his seat, hands folded again. The officers refused to make eye contact. The judge finally asked, "Sir, before we proceed, I'd like to know who exactly you are." The men stood again, walked slowly to the center of the courtroom, and said with calm authority, "My name is Marcus Allen. I'm a United States attorney for the Eastern District." The room erupted. Cameras clicked. Even the judge froze. The same man they had treated as a criminal was one of the top federal prosecutors in the country. The cop's confidence shattered instantly. Truth had just taken the stand. The silence that followed was deafening. The officers looked trapped, their lies unraveling under the weight of truth. The judge's face turned red, realizing how quickly he had jumped to conclusions. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "This case isn't about me," he said calmly. "It's about how easy it is to assume guilt based on how someone looks. I wanted this process to play out, so everyone could see what happens in these rooms every single day." The gallery was stunned. Reporters whispered, cameras rolling. Even the prosecutor lowered her head. The judge cleared his throat, voice trembling. "Mr. Allen, I owe you an apology." Marcus simply nodded. "Don't apologize to me. Apologize to the next person who doesn't have the power to defend themselves." As Marcus walked out of the courtroom, the crowd parted. The same people who had whispered against him now stared in silent awe. Reporters shouted his name, but he didn't stop. The officers were taken away for perjury, their badges now symbols of their deceit. Marcus paused at the courthouse doors, sunlight breaking across his face. He wasn't proud, just tired, and hopeful. Justice had worked today, but only because he had the means to fight back. He looked at the sky, whispering, "One day, truth won't need a title to be heard." And as he walked away, the world outside seemed to shift, just a little closer to fairness, just a little closer to change.